So the old bankers got their noose around Cyprus. They've come to an agreement. There will be a bailout for Cyprus under certain conditions. Now remember what they originally wanted. We want these account holders to take a 10% haircut. And the people said, hell no, and they started pulling their money out. Well, then controls had to be put in place because the banks don't have anywhere near, even tiny, even close, even a smidgen of what's supposed to be in those accounts. Thanks to fractional reserve banking, lending, etc., they lend out 90% plus of what they have in your account, in everyone's account put together. That's the way banks operate. So if 90% is gone, that only leaves 10% of what should be in there for you to physically take out, people as a whole who's using that bank. And this one we're talking about Cyprus. They wanted everyone to take a 10% haircut. They call it a tax, a depositor tax or whatever. And they said, hell no, I'm not doing that. We're insured up to $100,000. So what did they decide? Because remember, if you're the bank and you're the IMF who wants to give that bank a loan, you're looking at the numbers. You know exactly how many account holders that bank has, who has 100,000 euros in it or less, and who has over 100,000 euros. Because their insurance, like we have FDIC over here in America, their insurance only insures up to 100,000 euros. Ours, I think, does 250,000 US dollars. And it wouldn't matter anyways. If there was a bank run in America, the amount that the FDIC insures, even above and beyond that, in other words, what their funding has on standby in case of a rainy day bank run, again, is a percent of a single percent of what should be in there to insure those kind of deposits, but they don't have it. So there's, I think, 500 million or 500 billion, something, some large amount. I think it's 500 billion maybe of extended lending authority, borrowing authority from the Treasury itself that the FDIC could go do in an emergency situation. And I think it's 500 billion, so half a trillion. However, there are trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of Americans' bank money in Americans' bank accounts, not 500 billion. So even with FDIC insurance, I'm insured, you're insured, we're all insured. You ain't insured, because if that crap would just happen in Cyprus, happened right here in America, and trust me, one of these days it's going to. There ain't going to be enough insurance to go on. Just like an insurance company that got slammed by some kind of mega disaster, they would go bankrupt, just like AIG. Remember AIG? Financial? They got to bail out. Why did AIG? Who the hell's AIG? They're not even a bank. No, they were the insurance company that insured the banks. But you see, it didn't insure the people. It insured the mega banks. So Wall Street said, you're going to pay us for these losses because we're insured through AIG. American taxpayer, because AIG doesn't even have a percent worth of coverage, even though we've been paying it this whole time, you guys are going to come up with that money because we're going to get ours. And they did. But if this happens to Americans, as you just saw what happened in Cyprus, ain't no AIG bailout, blah, 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 blah coming. No. Nope. You're going to get a haircut. You're not a mega bank. You're not part of the club. You get a haircut. So anyways, they wanted to do a 10% haircut, and they said no. So all these bank runs start happening. So then they put in these capital controls, not capital controls, but banking rules. All of a sudden, you could no longer take out, at one point, you couldn't take out more than $100, 100 euros per day. That's it. You can only take out $100. Have a nice day. And if you went to the bank and tried to take out more, you couldn't get it. You could scream and pound your fist and stomp your feet and say, hey, my money's in there. I put, 20,000 euros in there. I want my money. Nope, you only get $100 a day because you didn't have your control of your money like I've been telling you. Old J Snip 4, old Pastor Dow, both of us telling you, get your money out of the banks. Get you a nice, powerful, heavy-duty, yes, expensive safe bolted to your ground. Only leave enough money, as I've said this 1,000 times, only leave enough money in your bank to do about 2 months worth of bills at a time. And when you get your paycheck, Sure, you can direct deposit it. Now I've got 3 or 4 months and worth of bills in there. You just got paid and you got another paycheck. Okay, take that money out. Go to the bank, take it out physically. I need $1,000, whatever. Take it out, put it in your safe. Now you're back down to that two months worth of bills. You would never have to worry about this. And if you were investing all that money in precious metals like silver for the last several years, it would be even superior, by a million times superior than just putting money in your safe and leaving it there, even though that's not a bad idea to have it there. I don't care about earning, half of 1% interest in a special checking or savings account at a bank. Half of 1%. They're lending out 90% of our money. And they're collecting anywhere from 4, 5, 6, 10, 15, whatever percent interest. That's all over the map, depending on what kind of loan it is. And they're going to give you half of a percent to leave it with them. And in a rainy day when the government has problems and the banking system has problems, you may come here one day and you won't get any of your money, sucker. But that ain't going to happen, OJ Snip 4. It's not going to happen. Could I keep cash on hand? In the extra money that I have, I've been investing in silver. Now, granted, I haven't done that in a little while because I moved to Tennessee recently, recouping those costs, etc. But the final agreement, by the way, which is really why I did this video, the final agreement that they've come to for Cyprus to get this $13 billion, whatever it is, dollar bailout, was that any depositor that had over and above the insured amount, which was $100,000. In other words, FDIC insurance. It's just not called that over in Cyprus, but that's the same thing. So I'm going to use that term, FDIC insurance. And theirs was covered up to $100,000. So anybody that had more than $100,000 just took a 20% haircut. Again, they wanted 10 for everybody. Across the board, all account holders take a 10% haircut. But again, all they got to do is look at the numbers. Well, how many of our, because we have insurance, we want to pretend that it actually means something. So what would it take if we did, in fact, stand by our word and insure the $100,000 worth of deposits per account holder? What would we need to smash the other account holders that are above that number? What do those numbers equal? And then they pen it in. Oh, a little spreadsheet. A bozo could figure out the math easily. Oh, well, all we need to do is hit the non-insured account holders with 20% losses, and we'll be fine. A bailout will be agreed to. Everyone will be happy, all except for these rich people, or upper middle class, even whatever you want to call them. Because again, that I'd be considered rich to have that kind of money in the bank, but you get the point. The average, 90% of people don't have $100,000 in the bank, So, but again, the tiny percentage that do have above and beyond that, they're probably looking at it like, oh man, there's guys in here that have millions and millions and millions and tens of millions of dollars over here. That's well above $100,000. So if this guy's got $10 million in his account, we're only going to insure $100,000. So now he's got 9.9 million, instead of 10 million. So I'm just going to round off for easy math here. $10 million, you just took a 20% haircut, you just lost $2 million. Wasn't your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. You, as I used to love to say back in the day when people used to get on my case about my mortgage and everything, you did the right thing. You played the right game. You played the right rules. You were a role model citizen. You used the banking system just as you were told and taught, and your parents did, and your parents' parents did, and that's what you grew up to know. Didn't ever even hear of such a problem. But if you had $1 million in the bank even, you just lost $200,000. Again, Dr. Evil, $200,000. You had $200 million, or $100 million, let's say. You just lost 20 million like that. 200 million, $40 million like that. Gone. Now, granted, you're going to be pissed off, but at the same time, I mean, if you had $200 million, now you got 160 million, yeah, you're pissed. But you still got 160 million, so you're probably, saying, well, it could be worse. It could be worse. like a sheep would say, not even realizing they just got robbed. Just got robbed, held up at gunpoint by the international bankers. Oh, well, at least I got 160 million. I know I just lost 40 million, but whew, could have been worse. You know what I mean? Not realizing you were just robbed blind. Money, as Greg Manarino had said one time, and I think he's referring mostly to stocks and stuff, but money does not disappear. Think about that. Money does not disappear. It changes hands from one place to another, or institutions. It does not disappear, does not get erased. It can't get technically written off. It went somewhere. Somebody got it. The money went somewhere. So to see a 20% haircut for any account holder in Cyprus that had over $100,000, and again, I don't know what the total amount was, but if they needed a $13 billion bailout, that should probably tell you that'll make everybody somewhat whole minus the 20%. So that's included, actually. So, and who's to say that the 12 billion or 30 billion, whatever it was, will actually make everybody whole? It may be enough to just put the fires out, which they know will just, the market, it'll settle down over there. There won't be these massive withdrawals like there are now. People will realize, hey, we had to adjust things, Bottom line, if you had control of your own freaking money, you wouldn't have this problem. However, in all fairness to the people who do have a lot of money, and I'm not talking about the elite, just some people who are wealthy, who had $10 million. Guy did the right thing his whole life, made a great company, got paid well for it, got $10 million in the bank. He's not an elitist. He's just a wealthy man. Why is he having to deal with this? What did he do wrong? It wasn't his fault. And where's a guy like that going to put $10 million? I mean, seriously, is he going to have a safe at his house following O.J. Snip 4's, words of wisdom? He's going to have, let's just say in his case, his monthly bills are about $500,000, let's just say. So, because I tell you to keep a month to 2 months worth of bills in the bank. So he keeps $500,000 in the bank and $9.5 million in his house in the safe. I understand. It makes sense that you would probably still not want to do that at your house, have that kind of money on hand. However, he just lost $2 million by not doing that and trusting the banking system. I don't know what to say other than the elite know who's going to get hit hard, and it's going to be those people who make that kind of money. The millionaires, the six-figure, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000, etc. earners who do have that kind of money in the bank account. Those people are going to lose the worst. So, at the same time, the rest of you clowns, bozos, like me, that don't have that kind of money in the bank, your FDIC insurance will cover you. Don't worry. So, whatever. Another day in paradise, so let's just see what happens. But, man, I thought 2012 was off to a good start, and a lot of interesting things were happening, financial news, all kinds of stuff. But, man, 2013 is kind of shaping up to outdo 2012. Take care.